Today, I want to talk to you about a shadow that has crept into our streets and to our cities. A shadow that threatens the very promise of Canada itself. In cities like Calgary, Vancouver, in the dimly lit corners of community halls, which are meant for fellowship, for faith, for worship, an insidious hatred is being followed with whispers of exclusion and coded language that brand Ahmadi Muslims as cursed, as unworthy of the faith they practice. This isn't the clamor of open confrontation, you guys. It's the quiet corrosion of souls nurtured in spaces where division is festering unchecked. And who allows this to persist? Well, it's the elders of our Pakistani community. Voices who have seen the scars of history, who rightly decry Islamophobia when it strikes at the heart of the broader Muslim family. They demand equality, protection, and respect in a land of refuge. And they're right to do so. But when that same hatred turns inwards, targeting a peaceful minority like Ahmadi Muslims, their silence becomes deafening. It becomes a betrayal. Because true equality is not a shield that we wield only for ourselves. It's a covenant we extend to all, without exception or excuse. This hypocrisy wounds us deeply, but let's confront an even greater truth. These toxic narratives of dehumanization are not born in isolation. They're the very rhetoric embraced and amplified by terrorist groups that have sown terror across Pakistan and the world. Groups like Tehreek-e-Labak, Sipah-e-Sahiba, and the Tehreek-e-Taliban in Pakistan have weaponized this language, turning it into a license for bloodshed. They preach it from pulpits, podiums, and parade it in protests. And they use it to radicalize the vulnerable, justifying acts of unspeakable violence. Consider the horrors that this has resulted in. Militants from the Tehreek-e-Taliban have stormed 2 Ahmadi mosques in Lahore during Friday prayers, unleashing hand grenades and gunfire that claimed nearly 100 lives. A calculated act of terror designed to eradicate an entire community while they are in sajda. This was no aberration. It was the culmination of years of hate speech that labeled Ahmadi Muslims as apostates, deserving of death. And that violence doesn't end with organized attacks. It spills into the streets through mob lynchings, through frenzied crowds inflamed by the same coded slurs and taking the law into their own hands under the guise of defending faith. This year alone in Sargodha, an Ahmadi doctor was gunned down in cold blood. His only crime was his belief. In Karachi, a man was lynched outside an Ahmadi mosque. His body was desecrated by a mob while the police watched and echoed the very rhetoric that is now openly whispered in Canadian community halls. Over the past decade alone, dozens of such lynchings have scarred Pakistan. From the burning of Ahmadi homes to the brutal murder of entire families accused of blasphemy. Each one fueled by the unchecked spread of this poison that is being brewed in Calgary. They are the lived nightmares of refugees who now call Canada home. My own father has endured this nightmare, imprisoned and tortured for nothing more than his religious belief. He fled to Canada over 40 years ago, believing it to be a sanctuary from such barbarity. Yet here in Calgary's shadows, these echoes persist openly, imported, unchallenged, and allowed to take root in Canada. My friends, we can't stand idly by. This is not merely a matter for one community. It is a test for our nation when we allow this hatred to fester, when our elders remain silent, when halls become breeding grounds for division. We incite the same cycle of terror. We invite the same cycle of terror that has claimed lives elsewhere. We betray the refugees who trusted us, the values that define us, and the future that we owe to our children. I believe in the better angels of our nature. I believe that we can rise to this moment, and I believe that our elders can as well too. So I demand from our elders in positions of authority to unequivocally stand against this venom and to shine a light in the dark corners with accountability, education, and unyielding justice and equality without reservations. The Ahmadi Muslims, the contributors, the resilient survivors who represent the soul of Canada, who affirm no hatred no matter what, how imported or veiled it is, will remain better than this. And I trust that our neighbors in Canada, in Calgary, will not allow this unchecked, insidious hate to be fostered within community halls in Calgary and to be spread to the youth. This rhetoric that is shared by the architects of terror attacks, some of the worst terror attacks in Pakistan, is openly being preached in community halls in Calgary. And that says something more about our community leaders than it says about Canada.